Hi guys, Jordan from B&P Campers. Just going to be doing a handover video on this Mobilvetta Kia. It's a Kia P68 and it's a 69 plate, so that is late 2019, possibly early 2020. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around the outside first. I'll start under the bonnet and then we'll get into the inside and show you around the appliances inside as well. So on these new cabs, the majority of your consumable items are over on the left hand side. So you've got your washer fluid on the left, power steering fluid, engine coolant, brake fluid, engine oil, and your engine oil dipstick. You've got your paint code just here, 249. So that is the white colour that runs all the way through the vehicle. So if you need any touch-up paints, it's Fiat 249. Got your chassis plate just here. There will probably be another chassis plate somewhere on the vehicle, which has been sort of after the vehicle was converted, but I will have to find that in just a minute. But as for the rest of the bonnet, not a huge amount else to run through, apart from the fact that because the engine battery sits under the floor in the cab, you've got a couple of points under the bonnet to jump start from. So over on the right hand side here, where this little cover is, you see there's a little metal piece just here. So that is your positive terminal for the engine battery, and your negative terminal is this one over here at the top. So if you wanted to jump start the vehicle, you've got positive down there, negative up here. Air filter sits inside this box just down here, and because you're on an automatic chassis, you have also got the automatic transmission fluid, which has a little reservoir just here at the back. Shouldn't need to get into that for any reason, but I'm just sort of letting you know that's where it is. So just inside the passenger door, we've got your bonnet release handle just here inside the door. Your jack and wheel brace kit sits underneath the passenger seat just here in this nice box. That's the original factory fitted stuff. And just whilst we're here as well, just point out down here, this little switch you can see is actually underfloor heating. So if you wanted to use your underfloor heating, you just literally turn that button on just there and it'll start warming up, or start sending the warm air through to the underneath and warming up the underneath of the van, because you've got a double skinned van. So essentially you've got a void between the floor that you stand on inside and the floor that meets the actual ground underneath. So you've got a bit of space there, which is why you can heat it up. Diesel filling point, it's just inside here as well. So along the near side of the van here, we've got a few bits I need to run through. So we've got your freshwater filling point just here. Down underneath here, we've got your wastewater drain off handle, so you can pull this out and it will drain out any wastewater that's in the tank from this little valve just here. To the right of that, we've got your electric hookup point. So if you do have access to a hookup cable, it's really handy to have that plugged in. It means that you don't have to worry about your leisure battery's voltage at all, because the charger will be sort of running all the time. It also means that any of your mains powered appliances will come to life, and any 3-point sockets like household sockets, they won't work without this hookup plugged in. To the right of that, you can see the gas locker. I've got this open at the moment. You can see we've got this little hatch just here to hold the locker up. It's a lot better in my opinion than some of the kind of push stays that they normally have, because they can get a little bit loose and fall down. So this one you've got a bit more peace of mind with, that it's not going to fall on your head, which I have had a few times. So in the gas locker itself, there's nothing at all that you need to know really, apart from the fact that to turn the bottle on, we go anti-clockwise around to the left all the way up, and to turn it off, we go clockwise around to the right all the way down. You get 5 years on these pigtail hoses here, so you've got 2024 on this hose, so you've got till 29 to replace it. So behind that, we've got your fresh external water point. So this is a hot and cold water point. So essentially, as long as you've got water in the vehicle, in the tank, and your pump is on inside the van, you'll be able to have water coming out through this point just here. Now I've got the Truma boiler on. I've got it on heating only because there's no water in the van at the moment. We've winterized it. We've drained all the fresh water out of the van because it's coming up to winter. So at the moment I've only got the heating on. I haven't got the hot water on for that reason, that I haven't got any water in it. So I can feel straight away really hot air coming out through the bottom of this vent. So that is something that I always sort of mention, because it means that you can double check that it's definitely working. So I can physically feel the hot air coming out through that, so I know it's definitely working. Now inside this garage, which you can probably tell is absolutely gigantic, not much to run through really. The bed, which is this one here, the island bed, can drop down and raise up. So if you need to make the garage a little bit bigger, or you need to drop the bed down, there's a switch over on the other side just there, which you can do that from there really easy. So at the back of the van, I think it's a really nice looking back. So you've got the nice LED strip lights here on the sides. Reversing camera comes down from the top just there. Not much to show you at the back, to be honest, apart from that. So on the off side, we have got just here, we've got an external socket. So because this is a Continental built vehicle, you have got the slightly different socket just there, but this is just an external power socket really, 12 volt. And then we've got your toilet cassette locker, which I have forgotten to unlock. I'm not left-handed, so just open this up. Same goes again for how we hold it up there, look. So we're going to hold it up like that. So the toilet cassette, it's a Thetford toilet cassette. To remove it, all we need to do is lift up on the little orange handle here and then pull the cassette towards us. Once you've got it to here, you'll then be able to take it all the way out. Okay, so all we need to know from there is that you empty the cassette out from this point just here, so you unscrew it and then drain it out from there. When you're physically draining it out, you need to hold down this little orange button at the back. Once you've drained it out, you put your blue fluid back inside here, about a cap's worth of the blue fluid. Give it a little swoosh around and then push it all the way back in. And just make sure that this little orange tab here sits over its little lip. If that orange tab doesn't sit over its lip, then essentially, if you're at this point here, the cassette can move, first of all, but also it means that the seal between the toilet and the cassette won't be made. So anything that goes in the toilet won't actually end up in the cassette, which you do not want, because you obviously don't want it going down here and making a mess. So that's the toilet cassette. Now we've got these two big vents just here. All right, these are really important. These are both to do with your fridge. So if you have any issues with the fridge whatsoever, obviously fingers crossed that won't happen. And if you do have any problems with it, you can just give it to us and we'll sort it out. But this is the access to the back of the fridge should you ever need it. Now we have fitted the new glass, or well, it's not glass, it's perspex, but new window here on the door. So if I just show you that, a really nice seal there all the way around the window. The previous one unfortunately had been damaged up here. It had kind of, I don't really know what happened to it, to be completely honest, but it was just damaged. So we've replaced that for a brand new unit. Took a little bit longer than expected, but it's all done now. So inside the cab, as I mentioned on the outside, we are on the automatic gearbox here. Now these automatics are unbelievably easy to use once you've got your head around it. So essentially what you've got is neutral, top right hand side. So neutral is up here like that. Reverse is straight down all the way. And then automatic is over here to the middle. So you literally, when you're in neutral, if you want to go into automatic and drive, down to the middle and then let go. You'll then see on the dash, it will come up with 1 and then an A next to it. And as long as you've got that little A next to your 1, the gearbox will just drive you along and it will change gears for you in automatic mode. If you don't want it to be in automatic mode and you want to be able to shift through the gears manually like this, then you can push to the left just once, and you'll notice that your A symbol will leave the 1 on the dash. If you've just got a number and no A, it means you're in manual mode and you need to select the gears manually by going up by pushing down, or down the gears by pushing up. But for the majority of the time, you're going to want to leave it with the A next to the number there, and then you just drive away and it will just change all the gears for you. I always mention as well on these ones, because this is technically a manual gearbox with an automatic selector, you don't have a park function on the gear stick. And the reason for that is, in a normal automatic gearbox, you will have a park function, which is essentially a massive, great big pin inside the gearbox, which locks the gearbox up and stops you from moving. Because this one hasn't got the park function, you absolutely 100% have to use the handbrake whenever you want to come to a full stop. If you put it into neutral on a hill and let go of the foot brake, you are going to roll, okay? So you have to make sure that if you're not on level ground and you want to leave the van stop, park it up, you have to use the handbrake. You can't just put it into neutral and expect it to stay still. So just bear that in mind. That's why they haven't got a park function on there, just neutral. Other than that, really straightforward and easy. So all of this stuff up here, I'll be honest with you, is super straightforward and easy to use. You've got the sat nav on here, you've got your radio functions, and you can connect your phone up to it as well. This is the sort of stuff that we don't really run through that much because it's so self-explanatory, it's so easy. But that's all there on your nice little screen up there. You've got the air conditioning switch from here, and again, a little digital screen for all of your heating controls, super easy. Hazard warning lights from under here. And I will just mention as well, because you've got the automatic gearbox, you've got this little switch up here above the gear stick, which some people will not understand what it's for. It's not a very self-explanatory symbol. So it took me a little while to work out what it was. What that switch does is, if you're going uphill, because it's on an automatic, it'll always be trying to get you into the most economic gear as possible. So if you're going uphill, if you press that button there at the back, it will essentially try and hold in the gears a little bit longer to allow you to get up that hill quite easily. You might find if you don't press that button and you're going up something really steep, even though these engines are really quite torquey and powerful, if you're going up somewhere really quite steep, you'll find that the gearbox will struggle until you press that button. As soon as you press that button, it will sort of shift you back down the gears, I think, and it will keep you going a lot easier. But so that's what that little switch there does. You've also got, on this one, you've got the steering wheel controls. So you've got your radio controls there. You can answer and decline calls and select things through that. And you've also got your cruise control there as well. So that's the bottom stalk on the left-hand side for your cruise control. You've got your lights on and off from this top stalk here, as well as your indicators and flash. Your washers and wipers are on the right-hand side here. Your electric adjusting mirrors are on this little joystick down here. So you essentially select which mirror you want to move. So if I wanted to move the top right one here, I would select the first one to the right where I am now. And then I'd move it around like a little joystick. And when the ignition's on, it'll move around. So both front seats are swiveling seats. So if I pull on this little handle here, you will then be able to swivel the seat around. And that is about it for the cab. So what I'll do, I think, is I'll start here on the control panel, because that's kind of like the brain of the vehicle, if you like. That's where everything sort of gets powered up from. And then I'll go on to the iNet Ready system. This is your boiler controls. And then I'll go on to the other appliances after that. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. The control panel is all touchscreen, okay? So it's all touchscreen, there's no buttons on it whatsoever. I will just quickly point out as well, to the right of this one up here, this is not a button, so please don't push on it too hard. They are very brittle. This is your temperature sensor for the boiler, okay, the top one. This one underneath is a switch, and it just does your nice blue light under here. So the control panel, as I said, everything's touch screen. When you press on either of these buttons just here, it essentially just tells you your level indicators. So you've got leisure battery voltage on the right hand side, because you've got 12.2 in there and it's got a caravan symbol. Engine battery on the left hand side, 12.6, very, very good. Bear in mind as well, we're on 12.2 volts. We've got no hookup plugged in, so there's nothing charging it apart from the solar panel. And we've got all the lights on. We've got the fan on for the boiler. We've got everything on. So 12.2 volts there is absolutely perfect. That's really, really good. So you've also got on here, when you press on that, we've got your freshwater level here on the left-hand side where it says S1. And then we've got your wastewater tank just here, and that's just telling us that it's empty as well. So that is your level indicators, basically. If you push up or down on here, it'll tell you your levels. Now, the rest of the buttons, all the green ones, are essentially turning things on and off. So, at the moment, we've got the lights switch turned on, and we know that it's on because we get a little symbol come up just here. If I want the awning light to come on, I press that little button at the top, and that gives us an awning light symbol. If I want the water pump on, I turn that one on. And if I want the auxiliary power on, I turn that one on. So it's super, super straightforward. It tells you exactly what's on and when. Auxiliary is essentially any extra 12 volt appliances that might have been added in afterwards. I always recommend, if you're going to come into the van, you want everything to be able to turn on. I recommend you come in, turn your lights on and turn your aux on, and that then should give you power to literally everything 12 volt inside the van. They've got various LED lights all around the vehicle. We've got these really, really nice little strip lighting all the way around as well. Really nice and neat. Turn those off for now. So that is the basics for the control panel. Now that is, to be honest, all you need to know with it. It's super straightforward. At the top here, obviously you can see your time, your date. That is actually correct. Apart from the time, it's a little bit out. Date's correct. You've got external temperature, internal temperature. You can see it's quite a cold day, but there you go. So that's the control panel. A lot of the time I spend a lot more time on the control panels because they're normally a lot more complicated, but that's so much more straightforward. It'd be nice if they were all like that, but they're not. So right, so yeah, the next thing I'll show you is going to be your boiler controls. So this is your Truma iNet Ready system. Now essentially this is one of the most up-to-date Truma systems that they've got. So they've been making these from, I want to say about 2010, I think, roughly. And these are kind of like the industry standard now for the boilers. Now, if I press the center button there, it basically just brings us to the main menu screen. You'll see that whatever you're hovering over will be flashing, so you can see what you're hovering over. So if I press on this one just here, which is your heating symbol, press on that, it then gives you the option of choosing your temperature. So I'm just going to choose 20 for now. And then that means that the boiler is going to be lighting up and getting the heating going. The next one over is our hot water. Now I don't want this one to be on because I know for a fact that the boiler is empty of water, so I cannot use the hot water. But I'll just show you what options you've got. You've got eco, hot, or boost. That is your 3 options for the hot water, and it is literally just a case of, if you're not in a big hurry for hot water, put it on eco and so on. So that's all it does really. Next one over is your energy selector. So if I click on that, we've got the option of gas, mix 1, mix 2, electric 1 and electric 2. So at the moment I have got the gas turned on in the locker, which I showed you a minute ago. I don't have the electric hookup plugged in, so the only way that I can use the boiler is on the gas. If I had the electric hookup plugged in as well, I could use mix 1 or mix 2, which is essentially a mixture of gas and electric. So That's if you're in a real hurry for the hot water or the heating to come on. If you have got both on, you can do it and you can use both at the same time. Only thing I will say about that, it's quite... the thing is with using it on electric is that a lot of the time you'll find that it will draw a lot more power than you're hoping it to draw. So if you go to a campsite and they say, look, you've got a 10 amp post that you're plugged into, so you've got 10 amps to play with, basically. If you use Mix 2 or Electric 2, then you're going to be using 8 amps straight away. So the moment you select Mix 2 or Electric 2, you're using 8 amps. So you've only got 2 amps to play with. If you're hooked up on the mains, which you would be, you're going to be having, I don't know, up to an amp for your mains charger. If you're using the fridge on the mains, you're going to be using an amp for that. So pretty quickly, you're going to be running out of power. So I would recommend, if you are going to use it on electric or mix, you know, one of the mixed ones, I would use Mix 1 or Electric 1. And the reason I say that is that Electric 1 or Mix 1 uses 4 amps. So even if you are plugged into a 10 amp post, you're only going to be using 4 of your 10 amps straight away for your heating and hot water, and then you've got another 6 amps to play with. If you're plugged into a 16 amp pole, I wouldn't really worry so much. You know, it's one of those things, you just got to think about it a little bit more. It's not like at home where you can pretty much use whatever you want. You have to kind of bear in mind how much power you're using at once. But that's why I mentioned that the Mix 2 or Electric 2 is 8 amps. So just bear that in mind. The last one here, the little fan symbol, is eco or high, and that is literally just how powerful you want the air to pump through to the inside of the van. Literally, that's it. So that is the iNet Ready system. You can then go ahead and select and set timers, so you can time it to come on. You can change your time on there. Settings, you haven't got to do anything with this. All right, this is all just for our sort of, you know, habitation sort of services side of things. And I, to be honest, please don't go into that, because a lot of the time, even when we do it, it ends up ruining the whole thing. So I would just leave that little settings symbol alone. But yeah, so the other thing to mention is that when you want to turn things off, if you want to make sure for an absolute fact that everything is definitely switched off, if you haven't got anything above this little black line and it's all clear like it is now, the boiler is off. Okay, if there's something above this black line, the boiler is on. So that's just a really easy way to remember how to see if it's definitely off or on. And there you go. That is your boiler controls. Super straightforward. Can take a little bit of getting used to, but as soon as you have got used to it, it's so easy. Right, so the layout in here is becoming more and more typical now. We've got your electric drop-down bed up here above our head. We've got your nice forward-facing seats with proper over-the-shoulder seat belt. I will say that the Mobilvetta has got a really nice trim, so everything is really well made. All of the fabric used is super high quality, so can't fault it on that whatsoever. Really nice big table here as well, which you can move all the way around. As I mentioned on the outside, is a double skinned motorhome, so you have got storage underneath the floor here. If I lift this one up here, I think it's this one that I need to open up. Yep. So inside here, a couple of things to point out to you. So we've got your fuse panel just here, which has got a little diagram telling you exactly what size fuse and what it does. So if, for example, let's just say completely for example, that you turn the water pump on one day, you cannot get any water to come through, or you can't hear the pump running anyway, you'd have a little look on here and find the symbol for the water pump. So you can see there it's F13 at the top, and then you would just check F13 fuse. So you can do that, you know, obviously you come to us for any problems you might get, but the reason I mention this is that if you are away on holiday and you can't get to us, then, you know, me saying this to you is probably going to be quite helpful, because you might be able to check it for yourself. So just bear that in mind. So you've got your fuses at the back just there. You've got a battery isolator switch just there. So if you want to isolate everything, or essentially if you're going to be leaving the van for a while, I would just switch that one off and it should isolate the battery from everything 12 volt. You've then got this, which is your battery charger. So this is what turns on when you plug your hookup cable in to charge the leisure battery up. And we've then got your mains trip switches. So if you find that you come into the van with the hookup plugged in, nothing's working on the mains, you can have a little look on that and make sure it's definitely switched on. So that is quite an important little locker, just to kind of remember where everything is. So I'll just zoom out a little bit. You've got the fridge. So this is a Thetford fridge, I believe. Yep, Thetford N series. So the fridge itself is very, very simple to use. When you press on this little power switch just here, if you just literally click it, all it does, it doesn't turn it on and off, it just literally brings up the screen. So that then tells you what's going on with the fridge. So if I press it again, we can select our, well, first of all, this is an AES fridge. So it stands for Automatic Energy Selector. And essentially what that means is that you've got this option here of the A, which we've got on at the moment. So as you can probably work out from the name of it, if you have it on A, if you have it on automatic, it will automatically select which energy is most efficient. So what it'll do is it will try and use the mains, then it will try and use the gas, and then it will try and use the 12 volt. So basically what's happened here is I've turned it on, it's selected automatic mode, which is good. And then it's realised that the mains isn't plugged in. It's then tried gas, and because we've got the gas on, it's lit up on gas. So it's as easy as that. It just does its own thing, really. If you don't want to use automatic, you can select it manually. So you can see there it's flashing at us and giving fault code 10 on the mains symbol. That's because we haven't got the mains plugged in. It's flashing and giving us a fault code number 6 on the 12 volt. That's because we haven't got the engine running. And then we'll select gas and it will light up. So with the fridge, it's all about working out what energy you can use when you want to use it. So at the moment, I haven't got the hookup plugged in, I haven't got the engine running, so I have to use gas. If we were driving along, we would want to be selecting 12 volt, which is our little battery symbol. And if we were at a campsite or at home and we had the hookup cable plugged in, we would want to be on electric hookup. So you can go through, as I said, and select it all manually, or you can leave it on automatic and it should select whichever energy for you automatically. You can select your temperature over here on the right hand side, and we have also got a little external fan on the fridge as well. So I'll turn that off now, push and hold on this now, and then the screen goes off completely, and that means that your fridge is off. So that's nice and easy on the fridge. So you've got a separate freezer at the top, so that will be the first part to get cold. What else have we got? So the bed itself comes down with this little switch just here. So you have to have the key turned on in order to use the bed, but it will just come down once you've done that. There's nothing to it really. I don't have to show you that. It's literally just a case of pushing down and up. There will be a ladder up there to hook into this as well, so you can get up there really nice and easily. That's about it really for the front. So if I just show you into here, bit of storage in that one, and I think I'm going to have a boiler drain somewhere. What do we reckon in here? Nope, not in that one. Sorry, I probably should have checked this before I started the video. Lift this up. Loads of storage in the van throughout as well. Absolutely loads of it. Right. Okay, so I reckon that the boiler drain is going to be accessed from in the garage. So I'll just go through there in a minute and show you that. It's always handy to see this as well though, so you can see that you can actually adjust the bed completely by by, you know, you can use this little bit here to lift it all up and all that sort of stuff. So it's really easy to use. The bed itself is, as I said, adjustable from in the garage, so you can do that from in there. Mattress has been completely vaxxed, so steam cleaned the whole thing. Okay, so it's super clean now. Unfortunately, these mattresses, especially these ones that are a sort of specific size and have the split in it, they are unbelievably unbelievably difficult to get a hold of. And if you can get one made or get a hold of one, they're very expensive. So it's the only downside to these kind of things, really. But there you go. So in the back end, we have got these doors that come across. So if I just show you this, it will come across, and this one will come across as well. Make sure that you put these on before you start driving, because they make a hell of a racket if you don't. You've got a separate shower here on the near side of the vehicle, so you've got a really nice separate shower. You've got a switch up here for the nice LED lights as well. Behind me, we have got the toilet, so you can see the door will close up completely over here, and you can actually lock that as well if you want to. Really nice size separate toilet as well. So a lot of the time you'll find that these toilets are super crammed in, but actually I think this one's pretty good. Fair amount of space there. So yeah, hot and cold tap for the sink. Really straightforward. Don't need to know anything about that. The only thing I will say in the back end of the van, I don't think there's much else to show you really, but you've got something interesting on this window. So this little thing here that says Truma on it, I'll be completely honest, I was a little bit stumped even when I walked in, and I've been working on these for years now, but when I walked in and turned the boiler on before I started the video, I had a fault code coming up on the control panel. And I thought, well, that's strange. We've literally just checked it all over and everything was fine. It was because the window here was on the latch, so it was on its half open position, and this little sensor here for the boiler wasn't quite closed. So what this is a little, I mean, the little diagram there does tell you what it is, but essentially if you have this window open, because the vent for the boiler is right underneath here, the boiler will not work if you've got this window open. So you have to make sure that the window is completely shut if you want to use the boiler, otherwise it will not do anything at all. So just bear that in mind. And just in case you do ever get that problem and you forget about that window switch, if you get a fault code coming up on the boiler controller that says W412, then that's the window switch that's causing the issue. Right, so let me just jump into the garage again and just show you where that boiler drain is, because that is pretty important to know. So if I just jump in here. So I think it's going to be in here. Which side? Other side, of course. Right, so makes total sense that it's in here. I don't know why I didn't check it first. But so this is your boiler here. So you've got really good access to the boiler. So it might not seem like very good access because we're in a garage, but I promise you it is very good access. A lot of the time when me or whoever here has to do work on these boilers, it's a case of tearing the entire van to pieces just to get to it. So this is a very nice thing to have access to. Now the boiler drain itself is in the open position at the moment, which means that any water that goes to it will drain out onto the floor. So the reason I know that it's in the open position is because we've got this little blue button at the bottom sticking out. So to close the boiler drain off, you twist this back and push your button in. As long as that little blue button stays in like that, and this valve at the top is in the side to side position, so left hand side to the right hand side of the van, rather than front to back, then you know that the boiler drain is closed. So now when you come to using the vehicle, if you want to get the water hot and all that sort of stuff, you would fill the van up with water, fill it up with fresh water, turn your water pump on, and just wait for the boiler to fill itself up. If you came to the boiler and went to kind of fill the van up with water and fill the boiler up like I just told you, and the drain was like this, every single drop of water that runs to the boiler will just drain out onto the floor. So you need to make sure that you close this valve up before you start trying to do that. But once you've done that, you can go ahead and use it however you want to. So that is the boiler drain. So I think I've covered everything. I don't think there's anything I've missed out. But if there is anything you want me to go over again, or anything you think I've missed out, just give us a shout. But otherwise, look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.